Ciao Fabri, welcome back in our podcast. Today we speak about the deadline day. It was one of the craziest deadline day that I remember personally. I don't know about you. Then we will have also other episodes in the coming weeks, days, talking about what happened over the window, what happened over the summer window, all the secrets, behind the scenes stories of the summer. But let's start talking about deadline day because, as I mentioned, there were too many things happening. So let's try to recap the most important ones and let's talk about the details of what happened, starting with Anthony to Real Betis. There was also a club that wanted to hijack the deal or not?
There was this possibility, yes. That was never something concrete or possible, but I can confirm that Bayern made a call to understand the situation of Anthony with Real Betis. Because Bayern obviously wanted to sign Nicolas Jackson, the priority was to sign Nicolas Jackson, but in case the Jackson deal collapsed, and it was never off, but it was on hold for, let's say, 24, 48 hours, well, in that moment, Bayern started calling for other options, and Anthony was one of the players they considered. Manchester United never received an official bid from Bayern, from what I understand, but Bayern spoke to the agents of Anthony to understand if maybe they wanted to open doors to an eventual loan deal with a big loan fee from Manchester United and with an option to buy. So this was the conversation, but the answer from Anthony was only Real Betis. It's important to clarify that for Bayern, always the first option was Nicolas Jackson. So all these calls were kind of calls to have a backup plan in case the Jackson deal collapsed on deadline day, but they never changed their plan. They wanted to go for Jackson. Anthony was one of the names under consideration in the final hours in case of surprises with Chelsea. But again, Anthony more than happy to go to Betis, and his total priority has always been Betis.
Talking about Bayern Munich, there were also a lot of rumors on Ademola Lookman, Atalanta. We know that the situation of the player at the end is currently still at the club. Let's see what's going to happen also in the next days. What was the reaction coming from Atalanta of the possible signing from Bayern Munich?
Yeah, look, Bayern Munich sent an official bid to Atalanta, and that bid, from what I understand, was a loan with an option to buy, not guaranteed, no obligation, at 28 million euros. Atalanta, and here we can bring our friends behind the scenes of this story, didn't even reply to that proposal. Atalanta didn't even say yes or no, because for Atalanta was ridiculous to receive that kind of bid for a player that for them is really important, and this is confirmed by the fact that at the end of July, Atalanta rejected 45 million euros package guaranteed from Inter, loan with guaranteed obligation, so basically a permanent transfer, rejected by Atalanta. They were never ever gonna accept a loan with option, no obligation for 28 million euros. So for Atalanta, this offer was absolutely something that they couldn't even receive. That was never a possibility to do that deal, also because Bayern were not going to do a permanent transfer in any case for Ademola Lookman, and so this is why the story of Lookman to Bayern, yes, was strong in the media, but in reality was never something really close or concrete.
Let's move to Liverpool. Right now, it was probably one of the most active clubs, not just in deadline day, but also during the summer. We will talk about that as well. We will mention the situation of Guehi later, but also there were a lot of rumors about Joe Gomez on deadline day. There was AC Milan pushing to sign him, but also there was another club interested in him.
Yeah, on Joe Gomez, I think it's been an interesting deadline day because, yes, Milan were ready to go for him, but then in early morning they understood that the Guehi deal was going to be dangerous till the very end, and so Milan couldn't wait till 6, 7, 8 p.m. to get the deal done for Joe Gomez. Being an international transfer, it was impossible to wait, and so Milan signed a young player from Wolfsburg, Odogu, instead of going for Joe Gomez, but Joe Gomez was close to joining Brighton. There was a strong possibility for Joe Gomez to go to Brighton, from what I understand. There were some problems then in the deal, and this is why it collapsed, especially regarding the coverage of the salary. But Joe Gomez was a target for Brighton in the final 24 hours of the window. Then probably for Liverpool, better like this, also because the Guehi deal collapsed in the final seconds of the summer transfer window, and so they can complete their centre-backs with obviously Virgil van Dijk, with Ibrahima Konate, with Giovanni Leoni, and with Joe Gomez staying.
Let's move to Man United, because one of the stories of deadline day was, of course, Emi Martinez, El Dibu, who at the end stayed at Aston Villa, but there were many rumors all the summer about Manchester United. How close was he to join Man United on deadline day?
He was quite close. He was quite close, and it was 50-50 between Emiliano Martinez and Senne Lammens till the morning of Monday, so till deadline day, because Man United had different considerations to make. The salary of Emi Martinez is way bigger than the salary of Senne Lammens. The transfer fee was quite similar, but Lammens cost 21 million euros. For Dibu was a bit more. Also, Man United were prepared to buy Emiliano Martinez only in case Aston Villa were prepared to buy Jadon Sancho, and this didn't happen because Sancho joined on a loan deal. So there were some differences in this deal for Emiliano Martinez. The player for sure agreed personal terms with Manchester United, was ready to go to Man United. Also the big difference, you can invest on a goalkeeper for present and future, talented with development, important developing perspectives at Manchester United, or go for an experienced leader in a team that probably needs some leaders in this moment, and so Emi Martinez was seen as an ideal solution. So it was really 50-50 till the very end, but then they decided to close the deal for Lammens, and for Emi Martinez there was also a bid from Turkey because Galatasaray considered that possibility till the final minutes of the window, but Emi Martinez prefers to stay at the highest level in Premier League and to compete also because it's a World Cup season, and obviously Dibu Martinez will be a big part of that with Argentina.
Moving to another big topic of deadline day and also of the last days of August was Fermin Lopez and Chelsea. Did he actually open the doors to the idea of joining Chelsea or not?
No, Chelsea never had this indication, and Fermin Lopez never agreed anything with Chelsea, never opened the doors. But Chelsea wanted to try. Let's say that Chelsea tried that bid with 40 million euros, and it was kind of an attempt to say, okay, if this is going to be interesting for the player and for Barca, we're more than happy to make this deal happen in the final hours of the window. Otherwise, we don't need Fermin Lopez. This was Chelsea's position, so it's not an absolute need, and they didn't sign any player in that position. It was like, if we have an opportunity to get a fantastic player like Fermin, very good. Otherwise, see you in the future, because Chelsea see Fermin Lopez as one of the players they appreciate few years ago already, and also now for the future.
Moving to the Conrad Harder topic, also another player linked with Chelsea in the last days of the transfer window. Was he close to join the English club or not?
No, that was not close. It was one of the strikers that Chelsea considered when there was the issue of Liam Delap getting injured over the weekend. Chelsea asked about the situation of Conrad Harder, but the answer from player side was Red Bull Leipzig. He wanted to go to Red Bull Leipzig instead of Chelsea, instead of Milan, instead of several clubs, because he feels that there he can play on regular basis. Conrad Harder was to play. He was a Sporting with Viktor Gyökeres in front of him, very difficult to play when you have a machine like Gyökeres. And so Harder is still very young, he wants to play, he wants to develop, he wants to score goals, he doesn't want to sit on the bench. And so this is why he decided not to explore this possibility with Chelsea or with Milan, and he decided to go to Leipzig, where obviously Šeško left, Openda left, and he can have the possibility to be the star of the squad.
So Nkunku joined AC Milan at the end, but was one of the stories of the summer, with many clubs also interested to sign him. There was also a surprising club that tried to sign him in the last days before AC Milan.
Yeah, right after the AC Milan proposal, AC Milan were very fast with this deal, so they closed the deal basically in 12 hours since I broke the story. I think 12 hours later the deal was already done, and he was traveling in the night for a medical at AC Milan. But I can tell you that right after the AC Milan bid to Chelsea for Christopher Nkunku, Bayer Leverkusen also tried. Bayer Leverkusen made an attempt for Christopher Nkunku, but the player wanted to go to Milan. He feels that this is the right project for him, and so this is why Nkunku to Leverkusen was never a possibility, but they tried. I think this summer Leipzig, Bayern, Leverkusen, also Newcastle, several clubs tried for Nkunku, but Milan offered him the possibility probably to be an important player and to sign him on permanent transfer, because all the other proposals were maybe loan with option, loan with obligation.
So on deadline day, probably one of the questions you received the most was about Manchester United midfielder, if they were going to sign another midfielder in the last days of the transfer window. Did they actually try to sign one or not?
So this is why we are here on Men in Blazers, to tell you all the secrets. And Manchester United made an attempt to get Conor Gallagher on loan deal from Atletico Madrid. So Manchester United considered that possibility. They asked for the player on loan or maybe loan with buy option, but for Atletico Madrid it was very clear. Permanent transfer, loan with guaranteed obligation, or nothing. And in that case, for Manchester United, it was not possible to proceed, or they didn't decide to proceed. Maybe they prefer to save money for a different kind of investment in 2026. So they thought of Conor Gallagher as an option, but never advancing in this conversation.
One of the dramas, and this is the last question for today, this episode, we're going to have more in the coming days and weeks on the transfer window in general. One of the dramas of the deadline day was Marc Guehi and the move that didn't happen to Liverpool, and in the end he stayed at Crystal Palace. How big was the influence of Oliver Glasner, the manager, on this deal that was on the verge to become official, basically.
It was absolutely crucial because from what I'm hearing, Oliver Glasner, when the Igor deal collapsed at Crystal Palace with the defender from Brighton going to West Ham instead of going to Crystal Palace, and he had a medical at Crystal Palace. So it really shows that deadline day can be full of surprises. Well, after that happened with Marc Guehi, who completed his medical at Liverpool and was ready to sign the contract, Oliver Glasner, in the final 3 hours of the market, told the chairman of Crystal Palace, Steve Parish, very good. If you want to sell Marc Guehi, I understand you. £35 million for a player out of contract in 2026 is a big opportunity for the club and for the player, but I will leave my job. So from what I understand, Oliver Glasner really told Palace that he was prepared to quit his job, to resign, because he considers Marc Guehi as an absolutely crucial player, a leader. It's not just about the quality, it's also about the leadership, it's also about the message the club is giving to all the other players. You can't let Marc Guehi go without a replacement. This was the message from Oliver Glasner, and so at the end, Steve Parish decided to follow this way and to reject the Liverpool proposal to keep Marc Guehi. And I think we will mention his name several times on our podcast because now a new market opens for Guehi. Liverpool will remain there, but I'm sure that also more clubs will be part of this conversation. I will see you soon. Ciao, guys.
Fabri, thank you for today. We're going to have plenty of more coming the next days here on Men in Blazers to bring you all the news and all the inside story of this incredible summer that just ended. And there is 2026 coming as well. Thank you.